The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 14th day of December 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Maya Palacio will be with you in a bit to bring us the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, Sherry, just some sad news that just came through from the Bermuda Police Service that there was another road fatality in Bermuda. And of course, Maya will be with us to bring more about that. But I guess, just it's you never want to lose life, but it just always seems the holidays, it seems a bit tougher to take, but
just want people to be careful, take the time, be aware of your surroundings. I think a police officer, it's ironic we're having the commissioner on today, but I remember a police officer saying, if you're not tired after you've driven or rode, then you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And meaning looking this way, looking that way, being very alert. And, it's just take your time. We're all good.
Yeah. As I was saying to you guys prior to coming on, is like, I actually drove for the first time in Bermuda in years, like on the weekend,
that feel?
Like Saturday. First off, so true story what I'm about to share. So I couldn't remember the last time I've driven in Bermuda. I had to check my license to make sure it hadn't expired. It expires 2023, thankfully. 2023. I thought I was riding dirty. And I'm like, hold on, let me check my license. So I'm not illegal, folks. 2023, September 2023. But seriously, I drove and I've been riding mostly since I've been here. And I guess because it's so much smaller and tighter, I was saying the other day, I was just like, okay, how can that person see what's coming around the corner to do what they just did? That's my thought. And I'm just... And let's be honest, I was young. I rode fast. I think I did.
You pack race, Jamal?
No, I didn't do any of that. But I rode after I left the bar. So I never took a test, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't clean. So this is not here to really judge and say, oh, I've never done this. What I'm simply saying is, I posted something yesterday on my WhatsApp status saying that. How we learn, almost 10% is theory, 30% practice, and 60% is mistakes. But the key with that is that we don't have to learn from our own mistakes when we can learn from others' mistakes. And so what I would encourage people, just based on what I've seen, right, is if you don't respect yourself, okay. But respect the roads. The roads are very unforgiving. They are very unforgiving. And because of the roads being unforgiving, I think on behalf of everyone that's part of this show, we just want to send, healing energy and positive vibes,
love,
and condolences, comfort and love to the family of our latest road fatality victim. So again, the Bermuda Police Service did report right before we came on air that there has been another road fatality, and Maya will go into detail about that during her news break. And on that note, Sherry, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the Commissioner of Police, Darin Simons, to the show. We'll be talking about a lot of stuff, a lot of things happening, and just the year in review with the police, see how,
I like him.
You do, huh?
I do.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
him.
Okay. You don't say that about me.
No, I don't. Not on air
Not
so
publicly,
much.
but
Yes, exactly, Jamal. Not on air, not really public.
and then
Even
when
when
you
I
say
write
it privately,
something,
you delete it.
delete it.
Hmm.
Yes. It only
Yeah.
needs to be something between you and I. And only you need that in your memory. Like,
Right.
we don't need a yeah.
I've got to do like this, folks, and start screenshotting. The Daily Play is more holiday trivia, but folks, we're doing Bermuda Trivia's holiday edition today, so we're bringing it to Bermuda. If you haven't collected your Bermuda Trivia holiday edition, you want to go and get it today. I believe it's available at Brown and Co. So
So
go
you
check
couldn't
them
give
out.
me Feliz Navidad like yesterday? I couldn't believe Maya didn't know that. I was like, Feliz.
Yeah. Maya got in trouble with that one. She got in trouble with that one. But let's have a quick conversation because we want to give the Commissioner of Police, Darin Simons, extra time. A lot to cover in a short span of time this morning. But audience, one of the polls that we had yesterday, we had this slight conversation about it yesterday, and we had a poll up on our LinkedIn, parent company LinkedIn page. We had a poll on our Twitter account. We had a poll on our Instagram, and we had a picture poll on Facebook, and just asking people whether they prefer to shop online or in store, right? What do you prefer? But I guess the question out of all of that is, how can we encourage more Bermudians to shop locally, especially during the holidays? Like, how can we encourage more Bermudians to shop locally, especially during the holidays? What's stopping you from shopping locally, especially during the holidays?
I think, Jamal, that I wouldn't say that we get overpricing, but what we have to do, right? So pricing for me so much isn't necessarily a big thing, but variety. I want a variety of different items to choose from. I don't want two. I want maybe five. And that comes also from being a plus size woman. There was no variety in Bermuda for me to purchase things that I like to wear as a young woman. And so I always had to go to the States or go online. United States or go online to purchase things. So for me, again, it's the variety of things that you may find when you're abroad rather than in Bermuda. So if I had a little bit more variety in different areas, that may draw me to want to purchase more in Bermuda.
I got you, and I think that's a concern that many people have had for many times. But I also wonder, do we think of the impact? So for me, obviously, you and I based in the U.S. full time, but I actually do try to do my holiday shopping in Bermuda. There's, for me, convenience is always going to be best when it comes to, let's say, use what my needs are. My needs may be equipment for doing this show.
Right.
I know full well that there's no store in Bermuda that was selling the stuff that we utilized to do this show when we needed it. They may have had it after, right? But I know for sure that they didn't have it when we needed it. That said, when it comes to my niece, she's really the only person that I shop for, for
Really?
Christmas and stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Like,
Okay, your niece. Okay, yeah.
well, I mean, for children, I mean, children, toys. I'm talking about toys.
Okay.
Come on. Well, and Bella too, because Maya's got some stuff down Noah's Ark for Bella. But I say that because it's easy for her. My niece just got a nice doll. It's easy for her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when it comes to like adults, let's say I'm getting a smartwatch or something, or it's okay. Well, let me see what's the best deal I can get and bring back to Bermuda. So yeah, that's the challenge that I have. But what are your thoughts, folks? Let's go to the audience, Sherry. Just asking people, how can we encourage more Bermudians to shop locally, especially during the holidays? What I would also say is think about the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is you want your money circulating in your economy. You want your money circulating in your economy. Let's go through some comments. Go ahead, Shaq. Go ahead.
As I say, before you do that, and it's difficult right now, right? With a lot of the storefronts closing down. Again, there was a time when you went to Hamilton or went to Ton, and it was stores upon stores upon stores. And now I feel like there has been a decline in that. And so if we're talking about what happening now, it's like variety.
But when stores shut down in Bermuda, doesn't another store pick up, like Toys and Stuff shut down, and I think People's took up them.
Yeah.
Smith shut down, and Brown and Co took up them, and like I don't know, folks. I'm asking, so I honestly don't know. I just feel it's like somebody else will become that distributor of whatever they sold. But I mean, Sherry didn't have to take us back to the 60s about when trimming hams and all that was open. Look, folks, question of the morning: how can we encourage more Bermudians? See, friendly store, knick-knack, remember all that? How can we encourage more Bermudians to shop locally, especially during the holidays? Reese Sam says cost. Shayna Smith says variety is extremely limited. I looked to see who had extended holiday hours. That was very hard to find. It's interesting because we have asked people, and some of the stores that we've asked are not extending their hours. We did ask that, which is interesting. Sam Cat Plays says variety and not taking all our coins just to receive that variety. Mia Hartman and Shayna Smith, for you sharing.
The lack of product for it being Christmas season, the Christmas merchandise isn't in as yet or isn't coming in. The cost of some merchandise, especially the cheap garments that are Hollywood prices.
Ouch. Ouch.
On the flip side, shipping costs are so insane right now. I won't even reveal what I have spent already just on that. So that is the downside of shopping online in Bermuda. And that's why I was saying, like, we understand that there's going to be an extreme uptick in cost. But let's then, if that's the case, then provide a variety of different things that you could possibly spend. Because the other part of Bermuda is like Bermudians want a limited edition on certain things as well. Like we don't want to walk down the street and you have the same thing depending on what it is,
I'll never forget. I was in school in Alabama, went to Atlanta, did some shopping. What's that place? The Underground. Is a place called the Underground in Atlanta? Yeah. And got this nice polo I wanted. Came back to Bermuda, saw another Bermudian guy in it. I've lived in the States half of my life, right? I don't think I've ever been somewhere and seen someone in the same thing I've had on. In Bermuda, I see it all the time, right? It's funny to me. It's like we have this uniform mentality, if anything. I think it's more uniform mentality than anything. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says retailers should only bring in items that are of the best quality and highly rated. Adeline Stevenson Swan says variety is my issue. Folks, I just want to stop real quickly. Just thank you all who continuously have made the transition to our website. Again, the show is available since last Monday. You can now watch the Daily Hour live on thedailyhour.com. So you no longer need social media, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Yes, the show is still being shown in those places, but we know a lot of people who don't like social media or don't have social media have been asking for us to be available where they can watch. Well, thedailyhour.com, you can find us right there. So no excuse not to hit us up. Also,
Jamal, are we matching? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm got blue on. We aren't matching. Also, just want to let you know that we did open the show. There was another road fatality that was reported right before we came on air. So Maya will have more details about that when she does her news break. Sherry, one last thing. We are not matching. The lighting is making my shirt look gray, but I believe it's blue.
Well, for all intents and purposes, on what we're looking at is gray, Jamal said. Unless you could show us another something.
We have to fix the lighting in this room. We have to fix the lighting in this room, folks.
Yes, you have to for me.
Yeah, whatever. Let's bring in Maya because we want to have an extended conversation with the commissioner. But before we bring in Maya, real quickly, Sherry, what's the one thing? And I want to ask people, audience, answer this before we bring Maya in. What's the one thing that you will always purchase in Bermuda? One thing that you will always purchase in Bermuda.
certain food items. Like, so, just certain food items. I'm sorry, like, and cook food items too. Like, there's only some things you could get in Bermuda. So that or a Bermuda item. So when you talk about the Bermuda tracksuits or the James Madison jackets or something very locally and in trend and all of that, but food items, like certain food items.
Okay, outside of food, Jamie Madison, things you can purchase. Well,
Yes.
Shanna's on along with you. She says food. You all are too. Carla John says always purchase Bermuda shorts in Bermuda. What I will say is one thing I will always purchase in Bermuda will be Bermudian made products. Obviously, you might say, well, where else are you going to get them? Those are the things that, and the more creators we have, my hope is the more you'll see retailers giving them the opportunity to sell their stuff. But whether it's candles,
yes,
candles,
I was gonna say products.
Candle products. You've got people who make different kinds of shirts with their brands. I remember the masks were popular. Anything that supports people who are trying to make a difference to entrepreneurship, honestly, I will do it. And Headley and Stevenson Swan, on this note, let's go in.
I was gonna say liquor, white Hennessy is like, sorry, I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but like Dove and Butterfly, I ship that out. There's certain products that I just got that shipment.
What's her name? Chica France? She was on the show? Tika. I need to purchase some of her stuff. But anyway, let's bring Maya in before we get in trouble. Those nuts, man. My goodness, Tika, girl. Woo. Yeah.
Good morning, guys.
Hi. How are you, Maya?
Not feeling the best from this morning's news.
Yeah, no, I understand. You sound a bit low, though. Is your mic up? Just want to make sure we can hear you. Yes, definitely not the news we want to get right before we come on air. Real quickly, before we take that turn, though, did you want to share anything about the topic this morning about shopping in Bermuda? Like, how can we encourage Bermudians to shop locally?
I would say, because one thing that I did learn this year, can you hear me now? Am I better?
Yep.
Okay, great. So one thing I learned this year working in retail is to encourage people to shop more locally. You should really start producing your products earlier so they don't have a reason to shop online. Like when it came to Halloween products, like I was talking to customers maybe obviously way before October even, and they're just like, oh, I've already started ordering stuff. I didn't know you guys had this. So I was like, well, maybe we should bring our stuff out now. So bringing your stuff out sooner, getting people to shop sooner. This Christmas holiday, we bought our Christmas items way sooner than we normally do. Like literally probably right after Halloween ended, right in the beginning of November, maybe a week or two. And then it's just been, it's been definitely a different margin. Like we've seen it.
Interesting. That's a good thing. Timing is everything, right?
It is.
All right. What you got in the news for us?
So sad news this morning. A 24-year-old male passed away following a two-vehicle collision yesterday. The incident happened yesterday, December 13th, around 6 p.m. Police and other first responders were dispatched to a two-vehicle collision alongside Middle Road and the junction with Overplus Lane Sands, involving a private car and a motorcycle. Initial information suggests that the vehicles were traveling in opposite directions when the male motorcar driver was attempting to negotiate a right-hand turn onto Overplus Lane, and the male motorcyclist was attempting to overtake another vehicle when the collision occurred. The motorist was conveyed and transported to the hospital and was treated for the injuries, but sadly, he did not survive. And this makes the 10th road fatality of the year.
Yeah, it's not a time to criticize or give advice or anything, but the two things I just say off of my experience, and I know people joke and say I drive like a grandpa or whatnot, but I just want people pay attention and slow down. Just pay attention and slow down. That's it. I'm no expert. This is not my area of expertise, but I think as a human being and Bermudian who has lost people on the roads, that's what I would love for people to do: slow down, pay attention.
Yeah. The police are also asking if there are any witnesses to the collision to please contact Constable Imani Scott on 211 or email iscott@bps.bm. So if you know anything, if you've seen anything, please say something and let them know. And reiterate again, just remind people to drive safer, to pay attention, buckle their helmets, show love when you can, and let people know that you love them. These roads are really scary, and holiday season is really sad.
And as we said earlier, sending love, comforts, and serious condolences to the family, friends, and the entire community on this latest loss to Bermuda's roads.
Exactly. In other news, the Minister of National Security, Michael Weeks, met with the new Bermudian recruits at the Central Station as they undergo training. Minister Weeks was given the walkabout alongside the acting Chief Fire Officer, Dana Lovell, and other officers with the BFRS. The minister's visit is part of his ongoing visits to departments within the ministry to meet with services personnel and gain a better appreciation of their work and challenges they face. During his tour, the minister spoke to some of the new recruits as they received breathing apparatus training, and he added that the new recruits will be shortly going overseas to specialized training on their journey to become fully qualified airport rescue firefighters. Yeah, they didn't mention. Yeah, they didn't mention the exact numbers of how many new recruits there are, but from that picture, I guess we could, see an estimate of how many of them are new and coming in.
That's encouraging. It's very encouraging to see that. So all the best to those new recruits, and maybe see some of that same strength in the Bermuda Police Service. I mean, I have a question for Commissioner Sons about that, but continue.
Yes. Speaking to the news right now, in flighter news, some people might be excited about this. In a recent statement, JetBlue announced daily nonstop service from LaGuardia starting in spring of 2023, opening up greater access to New York and more potential for connections beyond. Minister of Transport, Honorable Wayne Furbert, says that this news follows the announcement of last week. The United Airlines service on Newark will start in March of 2023. Over a month earlier, this has been anticipated. British Airways will begin daily service between Bermuda and Heathrow in April. These gateway cities are vital to our tourism recovery, he says, and that is what's going on right now, and hopes that this continues to frequent and they get more flights.
Now, I know what you all are thinking. You're saying, well, what happened to the Boston flight? I was thinking it. But what I will say is this is a bit of progress. Progress. Now, I know Shara's like, well, we need another option in Atlanta because $2,000 for a ticket to hug Jamal was a bit too much, right? But
a bit much, and not flying every day either. Delta, come on.
She just
held the
called
monopoly for years. Like, let's get back to it.
All right, I'll give you Wayne Furbert's number. You can hit him up directly. What else you got for us, Maya?
$2,000 is quite a bit of money. In other news, jobs. If you didn't know about it, and if you do know someone who are looking for a job, well, today might be a great opportunity as hospitality recruitment drive with the Hamilton Princess and the PTA is going on today. You could go to the Princess Room at Hamilton Princess Beach Club. You don't have to register, but if you want to, it's always recommended. And it goes between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. if you are looking for a job. They're kind of searching for college students looking for some employment, or even local job seekers as well, whether it be for entry positions, mid-level positions, or expert positions as well. So they have everything kind of there.
I'm going.
You're going?
You all know why I'm going. I'm going.
Oh my God.
No.
Am I on with you tomorrow?
No, one of our audience members asked would I be available for coffee after the show today, and we're gonna have coffee, and then I'm gonna, since it's in the area, I'm just gonna stop by the job fair. Hopefully I meet some people.
If you stop by, please get some video footage from me. I won't unfortunately be able to.
That's why I'm going, Maya. Thank you. That's why I'm going.
I'm gonna be like, be able to be there. Spying.
No, I'm just gonna meet some people.
It would be encouraging. It would be encouraging. I was hoping to actually interview a couple people, but unfortunately, the day doesn't work out for me. Other than that, though, I don't know if you guys actually saw on LinkedIn that the PTA now has this board up in New York as well. What's it called in New York?
Billboard?
Yes.
the out of home thing they're doing.
Yeah, the out of home thing.
Yeah.
Sherry, don't look at me like that. I don't travel to New York often. Okay, and lastly, just so everyone knows,
billboards are everywhere. Okay.
I have
Well, they are. I mean, but they're illegal in Bermuda, Maya. So I take your point.
Lastly, my live interview tonight with Sophia Tessitore is happening 7 p.m. If you go on my Media Maya page on Instagram, you can check into that. We're going to be talking to the OBA's newest candidate. She's also the youngest candidate at 21 years old. And lastly, for the weather, we have a sunny start, but increasing clouds later. Winds will be light to moderate, and in the evening, they'll be going from moderate to very strong winds. We have a high of 68 degrees Fahrenheit today.
Yeah,
Be careful and
no, you see
you
what
don't get
Maya
blown
did.
off that bike.
You see what Maya
Jamal,
did?
with
Maya
that
went
strong.
straight to that weather, so I didn't get to say anything
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the OVA candidate. But I'm gonna slip it in anyway. Miss Google my name. But anyway, I'm gonna be tuned in because I got some questions for Miss Google my name. What's her name? Tessatori. Yeah, I got some questions.
I noticed it, Jamal, and I was like,
yeah, Maya was
good
smart.
girl.
She knows how I am with that. So, but she got me.
I mean, you said it yesterday, so I didn't think you had to say it today.
Sherry wearing her yesterday. Though. She wearing her.
I heard it yesterday.
Oh, you heard
Maya,
it? Okay.
and I'm with you.
Sherry, you got days of the year for us for Maya pushes me on this one?
Yes, and this, this is on time. More Good Today Day. That's what it is. It's a special holiday that aims to encourage more people to practice kindness and generosity. It reminds people to take time to think about the people around them and help in any way they can. This day reminds people to focus on the positive things in the world. The holiday is the perfect opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. A small act of kindness can go a long way in making people's lives happier. So it's a good today day.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to the job fair and be good today. Yeah.
More good today.
I'm going to do more good today. Yeah. Thank you, Sherry. Maya, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Chat to you later. I'll see you tonight.
Great chat with the commissioner.
Yes, thank you. And you have a great chat tonight. I will be there.
Thank you.
All righty. Maya Palacio. Go check out Follow Media Maya on Instagram so you can check that out, folks. Do not go anywhere. You want to share this conversation. Your Commissioner of Police, Darin Simons, is coming up right after this break. Get your questions and comments ready. We're talking about quite a few things. And yeah, always a good combo with the Bermuda Police Service.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6, Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
All right, welcome back to The Big Show. Sherry Vanderpool, I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, you don't have social media, no problem. Bermuda's Daily Talk Show is now streaming live on our website, thedailyhour.com. Just during the break just now, I was just responding to a few people saying, oh, no Daily Hour today. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're live. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. But we're on our website. So just go to our website. If you know someone who's experiencing problems, just go to our website and you can watch it. So sorry if you're not getting notifications. I don't control the social media outlets. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We've got, I honestly didn't do that purposely. I didn't do that purposely.
Yes, you did.
I did it yesterday. No, I'm dead serious. I'm trying to get better with pressing them without looking down. Let's do this.
Siren, really?
I did it yesterday too. They're very close. I'm about to move them. But anyway, without further ado, let's bring in our guest for today. We've got Commissioner Darin Simons. Here we go.
Morning.
Welcome,
Morning.
sir. Welcome.
Morning,
honestly,
Jamel. Good morning, Sherry.
it's a
Morning,
pleasure
Bermuda.
to have you. Good morning.
Thanks for
Good
having
morning.
me.
Thank you for coming by. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about, but I guess it's only fitting that we do begin the conversation with the police press release that came through like literally within a minute of us coming live. But as commissioner of police, that must be one of the toughest parts of your job, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean, tragically, this is the 10th road traffic fatality, and another young man has senselessly lost their lives on the roads. You know, I firmly believe that the overwhelming vast majority of these fatalities are preventable. And as you and your colleagues have been talking about it, it's about driving with care, caution, and courtesy, you know, on the road, slowing down where speed is an issue, and ensuring that people aren't consuming alcohol, you know, drinking and driving, which are the top two causes of road traffic fatalities. Obviously, not speaking to this accident, which is very much under investigation, but overall, you know, collisions are preventable, and it's down to the choices that drivers make. Or overwhelmingly, you know, the fatalities are preventable, and it's down to the choices that drivers make.
Indeed, indeed. And again, condolences to the family and the community on yet another road traffic fatality. Just want to go back a week. Last week, well, let's go back before last week. The previous Friday, Sherry and I were talking, and I said, we were speaking about what are some of the good things that have happened in Bermuda this year. And we were talking about, well, the Bermuda Police Service. You seem to have cracked down on drugs with all the you know, operations that have happened and taken place. There also seemed to be you know, we hadn't had a murder in I think 3 months since the stabbing, and then the next week we had yet another murder involving a gun. What is being done differently to prevent these events, and how are police responding when these events happen to prevent them from happening again?
So in terms of responding, obviously there's a, you know, a response to every crime that occurs and an investigation that commences. And, you know, for us, it's about trying to find out, you know, what happened, who is responsible, and engaging with the community to get that information. Because as I've said before, I firmly believe that there's no crime that the community can't solve. And you know, there's no crime that doesn't involve members of the community coming forward to give information and then ultimately evidence in court to bring those you know, who perpetrate these crimes to you know, to justice. But so certainly as tensions rise and fall and incidents occur, you know, we would increase patrols in a particular area where that becomes hotspots or sources of tension. It's about gathering intelligence around what might happen and what has happened in order to bring to justice those individuals that are the highest harm causers in Bermuda.
Mm-hmm. And with so many unsolved murders, I think is just around 30, a lot of attempted murders. Why should the public feel confident going forward that, you know, the Bermuda Police Service is working to bring people to justice?
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely appreciate any concerns that people may have around those numbers. And the numbers that you're quoting are going back to 2009. And I just think to add a little bit more context around that. So there's been about 80 murders since 2009. 50 of those murders have been detected. About 70 odd persons have been charged, and there's at least 15 people that are awaiting trial for murder because there's a significant backlog in court cases. Just generally, we probably have in the region of 50, 60 court cases that are just waiting to take place, not for murder, but just for, you know, range of serious kinds of offenses. So I think in terms of our, you know, solvability and success rate, it's pretty high. And certainly when somebody is charged, the conviction rate is quite high and the envy of many other jurisdictions. So I think in terms of our performance, we're able, the community should feel confident in us. And I always take this opportunity to remind the public that we absolutely need their assistance, and that they can trust us to keep, their information safe. We have highly trained and skilled officers that are experienced in dealing with members of the public and taking them through that process, people that want to help us out. And not every bit of information that people like, not every time you supply police with information doesn't mean that you necessarily have to go to court, but we're working with people so that they feel more comfortable in that process.
Okay. And speaking of highly skilled and trained officers, there has been a lot of talk about the recent announcement that the BPS is looking at recruitment from overseas. Why is there a need for that right now?
Okay, so it's a bit it's a bit challenging to understand, because there's a lot of factors that kind of, or a couple of factors that come into play. Number one is numbers are just generally down. So our current, as of very recently, because government have increased the funding and staffing levels. So our current number is 420 in terms of what's funded. The actual is 375. So you can see we're down quite a number of officers. So that's problematic. The other thing is, of those 375, 21 of them are brand new recruits with less than 1 year experience. In the next 3 years, almost 30 people are going to be leaving the organization at 60 years of age. Currently, there are 61 officers that are 55. Now, 55 is actually the mandatory retirement age, but a number of years ago, we extended it. Like they come back. We call it post 55. After 55, they can come back for 4 or 5 years. But there are 61 officers that are 55 years or older. And we're just in a sort of retirement phase where we are losing experience. So not only do we desperately need to bring people in, so today there's at least 30 jobs that people could be applying for. We've just sort of closed our recruitment. So there's 30 jobs that locals can apply for, but we need the experience. We need people that can hit the ground running and investigate these serious crimes. So the question that's going to come from that is, okay, well, why not locals? Well, one, it's a question of just numbers. So there are about 6 people whose job right now it is every single day to investigate murders. Now, they would be assisted, that we would surge that number in terms of response to crimes, like for maybe a week or two, after an initial crime. But then it just comes back to that smaller group of individuals that are investigating these types of crimes. So we want to increase that, but we can't increase that with people who aren't quite ready for that. And given the amount of crimes that remain open and the amount of attempted murders, which is about 130 that remain open, we really need experienced capacity. Having said all that, I want to be very clear that we have a program in place to develop local talent to meet those job requirements into the future. And we've been on a journey of what we call professionalizing the investigative process for several years. And we'll get there. We'll absolutely get there. But right now, it's just the low numbers and the need for significantly experienced and trained officers.
And that was going to be part of the question as well. And we talked about the numbers, because how can we make that recruitment very attractive to the locals for them to be able to come in and be able to fit into some of those spaces? What is the recruitment process looking like, especially for those young persons coming in? And I understand you want some experience, but is there any requirements or preferred?
Well, let me add to that, because we have a question from the audience. Shika Reyna, she's being very direct. She's like, "What's the criteria to become a BDA police officer, and then how can officers become detectives?"
Right. So, everybody enters, through the front door. So, 19 years of age, and you really just have to go through our testing process, which is going to be obviously some sort of educational testing requirement. Your basic reading, writing, and arithmetic kind of stuff. Then there's health screening. There's physical fitness. There's psychological profiling and testing. Background checks. That's about it that people can go through. And again, there's at least 30 of those jobs available right now. So we can't meet, we haven't been able to meet our needs from the local market, right? So anybody that wants a job, anybody who wants to become a police officer can meet the requirements, pretty much is going to get that job. Because they're available. And then how do you progress to become a detective? I think it's important to understand that it takes about 5 to 7 years before you really can appreciate and function like independently in the role of policing. Like, you might know the law, you might know the procedure, but you're dealing with people, you're dealing with crises. So you need to develop those leadership skills, those communication skills, understanding exactly what needs to be done in every different circumstance and context that you're faced with. And that takes time. And then, you're going to be able to progress when we provide additional training, and as you get additional experiences, you progress to, your basic investigator dealing with volume crime, shoplifting, break-ins, that, minor assaults. And then you progress to what I'm going to call like the trauma center of the Bermuda Police Service, which is going to be things like murders, narcotics investigation, financial crimes investigations. And really, it takes a good sort of 8 years before the ideal candidate has built up enough occupational and operational experience to progress to that level. You're talking about your high-end, like if it was health, your high-end emergency room, cardiac trauma care specialist. Even doctors, they don't just walk into that. It takes time to develop that.
Indeed.
And we're very much committed to that process in the BPS.
Thanks for that explanation. Operation Vega, how effective has it been in terms of abating bad behavior on the roads? We still hear numerous reports of people arrested for driving drunk, ticketed for speeding, driving unlicensed, uninsured vehicles. Is Operation Vega having the desired impact? Or what could be more to be done to deter bad driving habits and other things?
Yeah, no, thanks for that. So I think Operation Vega is having an impact, and we have seen a decline in the numbers of accidents. Just in terms of performance, I'm going to say that since about 2015, we've issued in the region of 80,000 moving violation tickets. So it's a lot, it's a lot of ticketing. It's less than has been done previous just because of staffing levels, but it's still very significant. So I think enforcement is a key component, but you've also got education and, engineering our roads and the vehicles and things like that as different facets that you can look at to have a problem. But enforcement is a role. So the people are making bad choices, and I just think in society in general, there's just been a deterioration or decay of driver attitudes and driver behavior on our roads. If people know that they're going to experience consequence, that's one of the things that helps deter some of that behavior. And I think we've seen some examples of it. If you've gone down the road and you see radars in place, and then you drive through that same area for the next week or so, you're going to see in that area a difference in driver behavior. Does it last? Is it permanent? No, I don't think it is. Clearly it isn't, and your experiences would bear that out. So we're doing things in terms of, particularly in the enforcement, we're looking at what we could do a little bit more from the education space to help change driver behavior. But ultimately, it is down to the individual driving decisions that each and every one of us make every single time we get behind the wheel of a car or on a motorcycle to drive down the road. And when you look at speed and impaired driving as the number one causes, all of those things, people can do differently.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I've said it, I think, numerous times on this show, govern yourself accordingly and be able to make these decisions or have people around you that support good decision making. Recently, a few police officers was using some of their own funds to show appreciation to good drivers. What is your thoughts on this?
Well, I found that out like you did, through social media, right? Well, that's not quite true. That's not quite true. I heard it moments before it was on social media. Somebody just brought up in briefing, "Hey, do you know this? The officers are doing this." So I was like, "Wow, that was really, really nice." Particularly their own funds money. They pooled together some money and said, "Hey, we want to do things that are a little bit different than just giving tickets. We want to create some positive, relationships and engagements with individual motorists. One, positive reinforcement for good driving behavior, but two, building, good relationships with the community." And they did this on their own. And I want to say that is indicative of how, the overwhelming vast majority of police officers think about their job. They recognize how important the relationship that they have with the community is. And they find many different ways to positively express how important that is. There's another one that it's a little dated, but I heard of another officer where the officer paid to ship, I don't remember what it was, a wallet, but it was some idea of some lost property back to the person who had lost it. And, they obviously had to get the whole address, but they paid for it by themselves. And I just think that is a significant indication or a positive example of police officers recognizing how important the role that they play in the lives of just everyday citizens is. And it's beyond just that enforcement encounter. And those officers are absolutely to be commended. And at a point in time, I'm going to have them up, just say my special thanks in front of the senior command team, for thinking about that, doing that, and using some of their own funds. I mean, wow, amazing.
It goes along with our days of the year, right, Jamal?
Seriously, it does. And I think it's so important for many reasons, because police are looked at like grumpy parents sometimes, right?
They're
the ones enforcing the law, the discipline, right? And to be rewarded is something that they were not told to do, something that truthfully they didn't go to the media and say, "Hey, we're doing this." But I think it needs to be shared. It needs to be shared because, again, the community aspect. Bermuda police are part of the community, a very small community. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, basically 3 officers from the B-Watch West have decided to treat motorists in the west end of the island who display good driving habits with gift certificates over the holiday season. The officers are continuously issuing tickets for driving offenses all year and felt it was important to acknowledge those who do their part to keep our roads safe. So the initiative was completely funded by the 3 officers who purchased $300 worth of gift certificates. So you can see it on the Bermuda Police Service social media. I don't know their names, but Commissioner Simons will be highlighting them going forward. But I commend the officers. I commend the entire police service, because it shows you that these kind of people are involved in trying to make our island a safer and a better place for all.
And Jamal, community really is important. It kind of sits at the heart of what we do. Bermuda is, I want to say, unique, but maybe there are other places. But overwhelming, the vast majority of police officers, grew up in Bermuda. We have very close ties to the community in terms of not only our policing roles, but in the broader society in terms of sports, education, involvement with schools, for example, churches. and clubs and things like that. So we are very close. There's probably not a person, certainly not somebody who lives here regularly, that doesn't know a police officer by name, that can't pick up the phone and say, I'm going to call George or Jane and ask them what happened. Or, I've got some challenges, I've got some issues, I'm going to call so-and-so. And that, is very important to us. Maintaining those positive relationships and being a part of the community is important to us. And at the end of the day, we're here to make Bermuda safer. And yeah.
Indeed.
And
I'm out of
just
time here, but I want to get
okay.
to we got a lot of questions coming through, and I still have a couple of questions. So I just want to continue. Recently, it's 2019. 2019 was the year, as my research showed me, there was no murders reported. And I don't think that was highlighted or talked about enough. If you ask most people, they wouldn't even remember that. But as you reflect on 2022, what do you want to highlight that should give the public confidence in the Bermuda Police Service?
So I think we have in terms of when you look at things like performance and look at numbers. Now, on one hand, you wish you didn't have to do this kind of stuff, but on the other hand, it's an example of us doing the job that we're employed to job. So since about 2008, there's been about 45,000 arrests. There's been about 50,000 stop and searches, and I said before, maybe 80,000 moving violation tickets. 80 murders since 2009. About 50 of those have been detected. So I think we're doing a fairly positive job in terms of our performance. And as I look forward into the future, one of the things that you're going to see us put more energy into is allocating resources to the community officers. So you're going to see an increase in the numbers of community officers so that we can better maintain that relationship. A couple of times this year, I've had to, just announce to the public that the community officers, parish officers have been deployed on a watch. So they're doing the routine patrol and response kind of work because our numbers were kind of low. But thank you very much to government for the increase in staff, and we'll be able to put some of that, some of those officers back to the dedicated parish officers, community officers. So that's one of the things that I think is really important. And moving forward, you're going to see.
Alrighty. Let's go to it. We've got quite a few comments, and folks, I'll do my best to get through as many questions and comments as possible. It is a lot, so let's go backward. We have Sean Smith asking, what is the starting pay for a police officer?
I think it's just under 90,000 a year, and that's just the salary. But when you look at sort of like total remunerations with sort of what I'm going to call mandatory overtime and things like that, there's probably not an officer that doesn't make under 100K.
Well, get those applications in.
I need to get my fitness together because, Lord, I think every other area I pass, but that fitness.
Well,
and there are let me put in a plug. I mean, the other thing is, I think just the health benefit. Obviously, I think that the time off is there too in terms of the benefits. But the one thing that I think. I used to say that, it requires a special or unique kind of person to become a police officer. I'm not quite in that space. So more, I think that many other types of people can become police. There's a broad range of people that can become police officer, right? So you might not ever have thought of. So if you just enjoy engaging with people, if you're even if you're shy, one of the really neat things that I'm able to see is over the years, somebody who comes into the organization that is like obviously shy. And give them 5 years and they're a different person, so there's that personal growth that happens as a result of policing. I lost my train of thought there for a second. One of the other things I wanted to say about a career in policing, it's like a job within many jobs within a career. So you can go from different departments, and what you do every day looks and feels differently. There are different tracks that your career can take, and you just get a different skill set. So it's not like, you I don't want to be critical, but not like you're an accountant and you're just dealing like with spreadsheets every day. Like you can have things that are outside. You could be riding bikes, you could be conducting investigations, you could be just recently we've had this road traffic fatality. We deploy a family liaison officer that engages with the family directly. You could be in an intelligence role, you could be doing it in narcotics. But there are so many opportunities for careers within careers that you don't have. There's no reason for somebody to have a sense like I'm stagnant or I'm stuck in an area that I don't really like. And I just think what's one of the neat things about it. Plus, obviously, you are making a difference in the lives of members of the community. You get to make a positive difference.
All right, let's go through a lot more, Commissioner. We've got Sean Smith again.
I'll be shorter.
No worries. He's asking, do you still have the cadet program? If so, how many cadets are current in the program?
Okay, so the short answer to that is yes, we still have a cadet program. There is only one cadet in the program at this point in time, and that person is on our overseas sort of education opportunity. So when you sort of complete the on-island or the Bermuda College portion, you have, if you choose to, the option of going overseas to complete a degree that is funded by the police. Great opportunity. We're just not inundated with applications for people to join that program. So it's kind of suffering from lack of engagement, which I don't quite fully understand, because when you have, a guaranteed summer job, guaranteed education, and you get the wonderful experience of working alongside police officers and certainly being able to dip your toe into that role, to me, it's just an incredible opportunity that more people should take advantage of.
All right, Anika D. Shields, she's asking, I may have missed it, what is the percentage of locals on the force?
We're about 70-30. It might just be a little bit less than 70-30, but it's about 70-30 Bermudian, non-Bermudian.
All right. Gamarino, thank you so much. He says the officers are Constable Rajiv Bailey, Imani Scott, and Ryan Swan. Those are the officers who use their own funds to really reward people up in the West End for being responsible on the roads. Shika Reyna says something interesting. She says, in the US, I once received a ticket for doing 40 in a 35. And with the fine, I attended a 4-hour Saturday training focused on sharing the detriments of safe driving. Does BDA police do this?
So the police don't. And I think, education post an offending issue is certainly something that could be helpful, but it's not. It would be somebody else other than the police that would be responsible for that kind of program.
All right, I promise I'm not going to ask I can't ask all the questions, folks. But
I'm going to try and be shorter.
No, but it's a lot. They like you apparently. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, being a police officer is stressful. Do you have on-staff therapists for all the police officers? I think this question is so important because we've spoken about it on this show. Like, I cannot imagine going to a murder scene and then going home, like leaving. It's not normal. Like, do you have this kind of thing?
Yeah. So, well, we could talk an awful lot of time about that. So I do think policing is stressful. I mean, the reality is it's your job, right? So you develop risk and resiliency because it's what you're exposed to every day. And even when we're exposed to sort of harm every day, we do develop the capacity to become more resilient around that. So that's obviously a part of policing. And I actually think it kind of changes you in some positive ways and in some not so positive ways. We do have an occupational health unit for our more sensitive kinds of jobs. We have mandatory mental health checks. So like our firearms officers, our vulnerable persons unit, probably serious crime unit, they would have annual mental health checks. Like, are you okay? And obviously anybody who's experiencing some kind of difficulty would have the option of getting private services or within the occupational health unit. But I mean, wellness and welfare is an important part of how we do what we do in terms of inside the organization. And officers we have conversations about making sure you're asking your colleagues, are you okay? Research has shown that simply asking, and this is not just unique to policing, but it's just something that as a community at your work, the act of saying, hey, are you okay? And genuinely looking for an answer, right? And engaging people can have a really positive effect. So the short answer is yes, we have those kinds of resources available. And we also have a CISM team. We also have a CISM. Sorry. I'll be short.
Okay, no worries.
CISM is critical incident stress management. Yeah. So when really unusual things happen, like just think, at last night's road fatality, we would have activated our CISM team. When you look at things like a death of a child, in particular for police officers, that is traumatic, and that ripples through. Not that the other deaths are unimportant, but death of a child in particular will ripple through the organization, not just the people who there's vicarious trauma in that officers experience.
Yeah. And before you go, we started this show off just letting the public know that there was a road fatality. We experienced a murder just last week or week before. What would you say to the public going into this holiday season?
Well, certainly, I really want to take the opportunity to wish the public a safe season. I think we've talked about particularly around driver behavior. To drive with care, caution, and courtesy. Slow down. Don't drink and drive. If you're going to go out and have some beverages, have a designated driver. Make sure you've got a taxi in place or some other form of transportation to get home, because everybody does want to have fun. I think the other message I would have is when you see something, say something. You can trust the police in terms of keeping your information confidential and helping you through the process of helping us. And I really look forward to a wonderful holiday, a wonderful and safe holiday season, and a prosperous new year.
Commissioner Simons, thank you so much. Please don't you all be strangers to this show. We appreciate the engaging conversations. The audience obviously love to communicate with you all, but we're wishing you the very best, the least stressful, and happy holiday season as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Darin Simons, folks, if you appreciated that conversation, give us a thumbs up, a like, please share the conversation. It is words, but the words that we hope make people take action. So we'll be right back. We've got the Sherry play for you today, and we'll wrap it up. You don't want to miss this one. This is Bermuda Holiday Trivia. Bermuda Holiday Trivia. Stick with us.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
Alrighty, thanks again to Commissioner Darin Simons for joining us. Again, I encourage you to share these conversations with your friends, family, argue with people around the water cooler. Yeah, have a little debate with him, because he was here and you heard it. So take these conversations there. Also want to thank One Communications, Linda's People's Pharmacy, and Medical House for ensuring that we can have these conversations on this show. But it is now time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Well, Sherry, it's Bermuda Holiday Trivia. Are you ready?
I'm nervous now.
This is an easy one, folks. If someone gets the answer before Sherry, we're gonna give you something. All right. If someone gets the answer before Sherry. All right. Here we go. What year did the first Christmas boat parade take place?
I don't know, Jamal.
You don't know Bermuda holiday trivia?
99? I don't know. Is it in the 90s? Give me a hint. Honestly? Okay.
All right. Since Sherry didn't get it, I mean, she literally, the one number she said was one off. It's not 2001. It's not 2002. She said 1999. The correct answer is 1998. 1998.
Well, I was close.
You know,
I was
if
close.
in your SATs, right?
Oh my goodness, aren't we got to keep time tight?
Yes,
Let's
we
wrap up the
do.
show.
Any final thoughts on today's show, Sherry?
I think providing variety to Bermudians it will help people to shop a little bit more in Bermuda itself. And when you come talk about the commissioner, I appreciate what the Bermuda Police Service is doing right now in all areas. Bermudians, hey, there is a program called the Police Cadet, that there is some money left on the table. There's a program for you guys. So definitely look at the Bermuda Police Services and take advantage of what they have to offer. But again, I appreciate the service and the work that they've been doing over this last year.
Yeah, I think as far as encouraging more people to shop in Bermuda, really just help them understand the benefits of it. I think it could be as simple as that. Help them understand the benefits of purchasing things online and work with retailers to help them understand the needs and wants of the local shopper. As far as Commissioner Simons, look, I always said, I've said it since I was started radio in Bermuda. I think two of the hardest jobs in Bermuda are teachers, educators, and police officers. And I think, we don't even think of the stress. I often think like what it's like seeing a body of someone and having to go and tell someone's family. It's not easy, but we always think the bad. We think it's harassment when we're doing something. I've been through a couple of stops. I haven't been stopped, but since I've been here, I saw the police stopping people outside of Ice Cream and up Carvin Avenue. For me, it's work being done that we're paying them to do to ensure our community is safe. So, thanks again to Commissioner Simon. Sherry, you've got some daily inspiration for us?
I do. The opportunity for brotherhood presents itself every time you meet a human being. Be kind, brotherhood. That's from Gene Wyman.
I love that. Stop. We go into spaces and it's like we automatically angry at that man because why? Hey, make him a brother. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Harmon. My friends, please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out.